Ready? Start. Sir, an important amendment has been brought into Section 143 of the Companies Act. The present Act, before amendment, has made it mandatory for the auditors to report all frauds to the central government. Through this amendment, a threshold limit has been laid. Now, fraud up to a certain threshold limit only will be informed by the auditors to the central government, and frauds below the threshold limit will be reported to the company by the auditors and to the audit committee. Sir, I welcome the proposed amendment, but with a rider, because reporting of frauds, irrespective of the amount involved, to the central government would not serve any meaningful purpose. However, some aspects need to be looked into. One, reporting of frauds where key management personnel are involved is by very nature a serious thing and therefore should be reported to the central government, irrespective of the amount involved. 2. The objective behind the provision could not be achieved unless an effective mechanism is evolved at the central government level to deal with the information on fraud received from the auditors of various companies. What is happening now and even earlier is this: as far as audit reports and CAG comments are concerned, the central government or the concerned ministry has to go through it and file their comments and lay them before both the houses. But I can say this from my experience that the central government is not looking into the various comments of the CAG and the auditors by bringing this reporting provision. You should strengthen the mechanism to go through fraud and take action within the central government. The proposed amendment should also require to disclose details of frauds reported to the government that are more serious in the board's report. The board report should also contain whatever the auditor reported. Sir, the entire responsibility of detecting fraud has been given to the auditor. Auditing of a company is not a fraud detecting job. Now, in this bill, the entire responsibility of detecting the fraud or the major responsibility of detecting the fraud has been put on the auditors. The company management should also have this responsibility and they must be liable to improve their internal control system. Stop. Ready? Start. The Patna High Court judgment striking down enhanced reservation for various communities in employment and education marks yet another instance of the strict application of the 50% ceiling on total reservations by the judiciary. The verdict has invalidated the Nitish Kumar regime's decision of last year to amend its quota law to rise backward classes within bracket BC reservation from 12% to 18%, that of extremely backward communities within bracket EBC from 18% to 25%, and those of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes from 16% to 20%, and 1% to 2% respectively. This took the total reservation level to 65%, applying judicial precedents that have now crystallized into a legal bar on reservations exceeding 50%. The court has inflicted a huge blow to the Bihar government's plan to utilize its caste survey findings to expand its affirmative action program. The government may have erred in its policy approach, armed with the caste-wise population numbers, when its preamble to the amending law said it aimed to achieve proportionate equality. The court agreed with the petitioners, challenging the increased quotas on a key point: that adequate representation does not mean proportionate representation, as clarified in the famous nine judge verdict in Indra Sahni within bracket 1992. If any attempt to raise the quota level earmarked for any section to be in proportion to the state's population results in the total reservation percentage existing the permissible limit, it is liable to be unconstitutional. However, it is unfortunate that the court was so jealous about the reservation ceiling that it rejected the state's argument on the existence of special circumstances. Indra Sahni did allow the quota ceiling to be exceeded in extraordinary situations. It suggested that the population living in remote or far flung areas may require to be treated in a different way. The court seems to have taken that geographical remoteness is the only special situation to justify an enhanced quota and denied the benefit to Bihar. It is difficult to believe that a state which is backward in most parameters of human and social development should be denied the use of its executive and legislative power to expand its social justice program. The court surely saw merit in the argument that there was no in depth study before enhanced reservation was implemented. This raises the question whether the survey was indeed quite exhaustive when it gave a caste wise breakup of the population and their economic conditions. While there may be a case for pruning the BC or EBC list based on the progress made over the last few decades, It might not be just to stymie every attempt to enhance the numerical representation of historically deprived sections on the ground that it exceeds the quota ceiling. Stop.